I remember that in recording.
Excuse me.
Okay.
We're messing with my fun stuff. No, I'm sorry.
You're listening to the Makey Words Podcast.
You're finding out 10 years late. What do you think about that? It's the business model. It's the business model. And we just looked at each other.
You guys want to see something weird and wild? I've never seen one in person.
You mean something else?
Yeah.
Nice.
Something not on my face. It's called a Honor Pianette. They also call it poor man's Wurlitzer. My friend Ross came over yesterday. Ross is that harmonica player, and he just picked this up from the shop, but he wanted it out of his car because I guess he had to go downtown, so he left it with me. It does sound like a Wurlitzer. I don't know if you can hear that, but
yeah. So are there just like tines in it? Like there would be a Wurlitzer?
I don't know exactly what they are. They must be tines, but they don't. There's no hammer that strikes. What it is this is fucking crazy. But say this is the tine or whatever it is, the mechanism is resting on it, and it has an adhesive on it. So when you press down on the key, it pulls it off.
It's a suction-based sound.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's super weird. And I guess he had it in the shop, and the thing that he had done was he had all the adhesive things replaced. So some of them are still a little sticky. So like they kind of like you got to like really kind of like press them a little bit. And you can feel it you can kind of feel that sort of suction. It's super strange. But as a result, they don't have a sustain mechanism. So you basically just kind of play it without a sustain pedal, and yeah. And
why would they not have a sustain mechanism?
Yeah,
it seems like you could just prevent it from re-mopping itself to the tine or whatever it does.
And it wouldn't sustain infinitely. Like in a digital world, I understand that it's like if you're holding the key down, you've removed the thing that makes it make sound, but it would still only wobble for so long.
Yeah.
The sustain on it isn't that great anyway, but I don't know. I don't know why they don't have a sustain mechanism for it. It just doesn't have a way of using a sustain pedal. It's kind of weird. That sucks. It's cool. It sounds good though. It really does sound very close to a Wurlitzer. It even has vibrato on it. It's just like this little button right here, and listen to that.
Huh.
Yeah, dude. I think we have the Arturia. I think it's in the Arturia sample library, and we've used it on a few songs. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it kind of sounds like what you think of when you think of a Wurlitzer, almost more than a Wurlitzer.
Kind of, yeah. It's very pronounced. It's interesting.
Yeah,
like the stash there, Nick. I'm sure you guys already mentioned that, but holy cow!
No,
it's a strong look.
We didn't.
Oh yeah. What's up, Max?
How's it going?
Good. How you doing today?
Doing better now with that stash in my life.
Yeah, baby.
You're one of the few people I know that can pull it off.
Yeah, baby.
Nice, dude.
Nice.
You want to jam a little?
Yeah.
No, pick a key.
C minor, baby. You know me.
Can't wait for latency to not be a problem.
Uh-oh. Nick, give us a sick beat.
It's going to be great. I can't wait for this.
This is fucking killing. Please tell me we're recording.
Lily is recording.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. What are we doing?
Yeah, are we? It was All Is All Should Be. That
Does
was
anyone remember anything about All Is All Should Be?
I remember a lot.
It's such a blur.
I do.
Gave us a pizza party afterwards.
I do.
Do we want to maybe just go through the disc or not the discography, the lineup, the fucking
track listing?
Track listing. Thank you.
Well,
Do we want to just go through the track listing?
I would like to
have
say,
a memory.
I would like to say, just somewhat preemptively, for me as the guy that does logistical things on tour, you know, this was obviously discussed as being quite literally what it was. We needed to show up to people's house with all of our gear and all of our shit, and write and record a song. So not unlike when we have to do, like this last tour when we did a VIP where I have to coordinate with people where things are supposed to be, what makes the most sense. It's kind of that. But this was also our first ever bus tour. And so I remember
having the first bus tour?
If it wasn't the first, it was the second, but I'm pretty sure it was the first. But I remember having to tell our driver, because it was Forrest, having to tell him, you know, and on these certain days off, we have to drive to these houses where we have to load out and whatever. And him, and you know, I know, we all know better at this point, I think, but him just being like, yeah, you can't just take a bus into neighborhoods. Like, I'm not just driving to houses. And so that was like another day one surprise of just like, okay, then I guess we figure out how to do this. But it was like, that was a huge, I just remember being like, I don't know, guys, I feel like this is going to be impossible. But obviously we just started parking at hotels and then cross-loading into U-Hauls and stuff like that. But
does anyone remember the order, like not the track listing, but the order we did them in? Like,
no.
I think it ended up being that Anton's was the first.
I remember that being true.
And did we definitely not drive the bus into Anton's?
No, because that was there are two quality inns. Which one? Rob, which one do we park at? There are two of them. Basically, we found out our driver couldn't really read, in addition to not really being able to do math, because there was a quality inn across the street from a La Quinta inn, and this man saw two queues and just said that there were two of the same. Which queue is it? Rob! Exactly. Rob! There are two of them. It's like,
there's queues everywhere.
No, it's the quality inn, man. But yeah, that was that day. So I don't think there was one before it, but I do very vividly remember that.
Well, I remember the right wrong. I remember going to Anton's. I remember doing laundry in his basement because Nick and I were
That's
in the basement.
That's where you were set up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and right. You guys were downstairs and we were upstairs.
Yeah. I remember.
That probably had the best isolation then out of any of the shows.
It's entirely possible. Yeah. I remember just not being comfortable recording it, and I had to. I basically sounded like dog shit in those verses. Those did it. I just like my timing was just like shit on it. And it was also the first one, and I think we were like really like kind of stressed with setup and figuring out how everything went. Yeah, it was but I do remember doing laundry. That much I know. Yeah.
Good.
So
yeah.
I remember learning that song. That was one song that we learned back at we learned that song in Port Angeles, I believe. That was one of the only songs we really kind of had in advance. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think we were learning it before we left for tour.
Huh.
Yeah,
I don't remember that either.
Well,
did you have that one written, Case, before when we all came out?
I had that one and one other, and I can't remember what it was, or I had like the beginnings of one other.
Yeah.
And then for anyone that doesn't know this, that's watching, we talked about it last week, but all is all should be, because we're assuming that fewer people know about it than I think we would like to, as far as the concept behind it. But different fans turned friends, basically, gave Casey sort of the concept for what the lyrics were supposed to be about, as well as like the vibe of the song, like what kind of song they want it to be. Do you remember what that one was? We're talking about The Right Wrong, which was Anton's song.
It was about, well, yeah.
Was he wanted it to be like Incada, but
he wanted it to be in the style of songs like Incada, City Escape, The Procession, like a track 2 off of most of the Act records. He wanted it to be that sort of like up tempo, frantic. I think that is close to all that he really asked for. Just because I think he was, if I'm remembering right, he was being, like, I don't want to tell you how to do your job kind of about it.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that it was that. And then obviously like the subject matter was very much like his nearly entirely. Him just saying that he wonders because, having a daughter, but not being in like the same marriage as the daughter was conceived in or anything like that. Like regretting certain parts of your life or thinking about like regretting them, but realizing how integral they are to like the life that you have now. So things like regret or wishing you had done things differently being very, I guess, weird feelings or complex versions of those feelings rather than just simply regretting doing something because there's this component of it that's very good that came out of whatever, pain or awkwardness you went through. So he gave me like a very detailed lyrical prompt, but musically, I think it was just make it hip.
Yeah. Keep it exciting.
I do remember
Snappy.
from that day. I remember parking at that hotel. I remember unloading, and it's in there's video. I don't remember, a tour blog or whatever. There's definitely video of this, but I remember unloading the U-Haul, or I think it was a van actually, in the back of his house. I remember the Knicks being downstairs, which is also where the good whiskeys were. I remember as well.
Yeah, you had a whole bar down there.
Really
badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we hung out down there while you interviewed him, Casey. Like you sat, I remember, at his kitchen table. And that we were set up during the song. We were set up in his living room, and I'm pretty sure I have a photo of that as well.
So I think I can't remember what came first, if it was Boston or Long Island after, but
I can't.
We've shared our experience of Boston, I feel like, many times.
We've certainly talked about it, but I guess maybe it's worth mentioning again just so it's in context.
No, we could talk about it again. I'm just saying this is probably the experience we talked about the most. Just, I think, mostly because of the guy who needed to make beats. But
you guys gonna be long because I gotta make some beats.
Who I feel like I've known since the Receiving End of Sirens days, and and so she offered up, I think it was her boyfriend's apartment that he shared with 2 other people. I think we get there right when the was there, or did we talk to the landlord? Wasn't there some exchange we had with someone
preemptively?
That was like
right to like make sure,
like outside of the apartment.
I think it was where we parked.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
we ended up parking. Like oh yeah, I think you're right because we were on the street and then we kind of had to go around the corner.
I think it was to load in. We had to go across the street and like slightly down an alley or something like that. But the long story short of that is just that we were able to get, I feel like, pretty good isolation and put our stuff in different areas. But
it was it was a comfortable area once we got everyone had their own little comfy couch seat thing. And I don't know.
It's only
we were really tight together. It felt like it. I think the sonically it matched how it felt. It felt like a band in the 60s, just kind of sitting together with acoustic guitars.
But wasn't Nick in a different area entirely or something? Or did I make that up? Wasn't Nick in a basement or something?
I think you're right. I mean, we pretty much always tried to keep them separate, I think.
Yeah, I was in a basement with Nick, I believe.
Yeah.
Wait,
but I mean, it was all going fine until the roommate got home who didn't have any idea what was going on.
Yeah, until we were like in the thick of it, getting shit done. Yeah. And then these random people showed up and were like, hey, are you guys going to be long? Which
is like such a weird like emotion to have in that moment of like, okay, like I know this is literally your home, your space, and but I booked this place today. Like, it's you can't really say that, but very much like that was the thing that stressed me out the most, was just like, how long do we have in anyone's space? So once that dude showed back up and like expressed his first bit of discomfort with us being there, that's when like there is no coming back from that. Like for me mentally, then I'm just so on edge. I'm sure everyone else was some version of that, but like once someone expresses that they need us to go, however like integral they are to the situation, it doesn't matter. But like once someone expresses that then it's just like super discomfort. Just like, I want to go. Yeah, I want to go right now, but I can't because we still have to finish this, and we're 3 songs deep at this point.
That day, at least as long as I can recall as well, it was sort of like the parking and load-in situation was kind of wild because it was sort of a busy street that their house was on. And then, at least for me, as someone that didn't know our hosts, it felt awkward already. And I feel like I vaguely remember, like basically at all of these, what we did was try to hook up whoever's house it was with a headphone mix so they could listen to things sort of more completely as we were working on them. And for some reason, I remember that being awkward of like, yeah, I don't have to hear it. Oh, no, here you go, though. Here are the headphones. Okay. Like, for some reason, I remember that being weird. And so the whole thing was sort of, I don't know. I remember feeling like we were bothering people already. And then those people showed up. And it was like, oh good.
So, good. Yeah, I think that's your... That is your
that's
resting state. That's very much the way that you approach things.
It's funny.
Like, I'm already bothering you. I don't want to be in anyone's way. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, because go ahead.
Oh no, mine was an aside. I was just gonna say it is funny how many times it will continue to happen. If we're ever recording anything or practicing with in-ears, somebody really wants a pair of headphones, and it's like, this isn't gonna be what you think it is, but
this isn't for you.
Yeah, this really isn't like a mix that's for you, or nothing's really, it's all for us. Kind of, you then have to pick the one person's mix that has kind of the balance, but whatever.
It's kind of like if you were a chef and somebody came in right when you started preparing, and it was like, if you want to taste this right now, it's literally just flour and salt.
Yeah,
in a bowl. Do you want to taste it? Here, taste the flour and the salt. Take a big spoonful.
But I guess not to skip over it. What was that song? What was Chris Lund's song?
Blame Paradise.
Blame Paradise. Yeah. Okay. And he wanted, it was like just overwhelming.
So he was working as a librarian, but a librarian in a professional sense, as somebody who was brought like projects by different companies or professionals, or I forget exactly who the client was, but his job is, if somebody comes to him and wants to learn a lot about a specific topic, he is entrusted to curate a list of reading materials for that person. And so this profession is a trusted profession in that you can trust these people to curate effectively the truth of something for you and give you the reading materials that reflect a true, either, the accuracies of a historical event or the accuracies of a methodology for some sort of, engineering or something like that. And he was just saying that is like a dying breed, and that people aren't even looking to vet their information anymore. And so that there's this information overload. And to the point where people aren't really sifting through things. I mean, it was when did we track this, by the way? It was 2017?
I think it would have been
2016?
Yeah, I think so.
Actually, 2016? Yeah, 2016.
I'll tell you in a second.
It had a lot to do with basically not him saying like fake news and stuff like that, but it had a lot to do with like misinformation. basically. I think that's what it got down to at the core of what he was getting at, was just misinformation. And
I remember that
who,
even sort of spilled into the music when those hits.
Yes.
You were like, I want everyone to be different, so it leads you, like, whatever you think the thing is that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be like musical misinformation as well. Yeah.
So
and
cool.
Then lyrically, it kind of dips into that as well. That song is exhausting to listen to for me, but it's also exhausting to play. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that's
it's exhausting, like the Cardiacs.
Job. Yeah, it's supposed to be exhausting. Like, I think it's fun. I think it's a fun song, and I don't mean if there's a way that exhausting can be good, like Max said, like the Cardiacs. It's much more like that. To me, it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to leave the listener a little disoriented. Even the even the hook of the song is sort of like, doesn't really ever land anywhere, and then when it does, it's like just a brief breath before we're in the second verse, and those beautiful background harmonies come in, tight 3-part, laying it down rhythmically.
Have we ever talked about that openly or no?
I think all we can say is that those lyrics are maybe an inside joke.
I know
that's
that
all there is.
That's all we can say.
That's all we can say. All right.
Yep. They're intentionally difficult to decipher.
But Chris brought his whole family. That was pretty comfortable, other than the song being hard as fuck to play.
Yeah.
It was fun,
hard. Especially because we wrote it on the bus the night before, but I was the only one who had an instrument. Not to say I was the only one writing, but I was the only one who could retain a part because no one else was able to have it under their fingers. Just like we all sat there with the acoustic guitar and we spelled out the song, and it was like, let's lay this out and figure out these parts. So it was easy for us to sit there and be like, yeah, we'll drop a beat here and we'll do this little thing here and this little chirp. But then when it's time for us to like do it as a band, it's very specific, even though it's not like a super technical song or anything like that. It's like, it's just all of its idiosyncrasies are shared, and the strength of its quirkiness is that when one instrument is quirky, like everyone is quirky together. But if we were loose, it would lose some of like that. I don't know what that is. That like disoriented magic. Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
I think specific is a very good word for it. It's not a particularly technical song, like you said. It's not like that difficult. It's just highly, highly specific.
I do remember a handful of, and it's probably just, these are the things that I always remember, unfortunately, of getting to one of those and doing one too many, and then it's everybody has a different. No, that's the 6 one. No, it wasn't. It was the 4 one. No. We did the 4 one last. And then somebody chimes in, I'm pretty sure that was the one that goes 3 times. Oh, God. Okay, do we start this again? We start this from the beginning. Okay.
I feel like I remember that one actually being pretty quick to record, though. I feel like we probably did the least amount of takes out of any song that we did on that.
I think that we had a few trouble spots. That we had trouble getting over, but it was like 3 total spots in the whole song, and the rest of it was super smooth sailing.
Yeah.
It's just like we had these little trouble spots that took us a long time to get past. But like within the amount of time we spent recording, however long that was, it took us a while to get past our issues. But compared to other songs, like most of the song went super painlessly. It was only those few little spots. And I remember thinking that too while we were doing it. Like in my headphones, we sounded fucking great. I can't tell. I think I might have a makeup filter on.
I've been wondering if you had lipstick on this whole time.
Yeah, I don't see anything like that. I do see latency, so maybe that's what's causing it, but
I mean, let's see.
At first I thought, is he wearing like gloss? And then I thought, oh, maybe his lips are just chapped because it's been so windy and my lips are chapped.
No, I don't.
And then I just didn't want to say anything.
No, maybe it's No, it doesn't say I have any video filters on.
Now you do.
Nothing.
Looking great, Case. You're glowing. You're positively glowing.
I remember that in recording.
Excuse me.
Okay.
We're messing with my fun stuff. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, when we were doing Blame Paradise, I was using that black Galaxia bass, that prototype, and
right.
it was like the only day that we've ever really used that bass, and it was sounding sick. And then, like, I don't know, pretty much by the end of the day, I noticed that the truss rod had busted out the back of the neck because whoever was making that neck made it a whole batch of guitars. We found out a little too thin, and
12 necks. 12 necks that they had their CNC machine set for the wrong stock to leave, so the wrong percentage. Basically, they would use the CNC to cut so close to the final shape, but a CNC leaves tool markings, so you have to sand the tool markings off. And so, like, if you think about how little amount of wood there is usually for a truss rod, you need every bit of that possible. But because of the way that they were seeing that batch, there was only maybe like a 32nd of an inch of wood or something.
Oh my God!
Behind it at its lowest point. So because of the way they were seeing the file.
Yeah, that was a bummer. I had no idea what was going on. All I knew is that I had to tell you. I was like, oh my God. Oh no. I'm pretty sure I didn't do this, but you should know. And then that bass later became the pink bass that we brought on tour this past time, essentially.
To continue moving on here, we were kind of at Kevin's. I don't know if we want to talk about.
Well, before Kevin's, we were then headed south on the East Coast, and that's when there was bad weather. We were planned to go to Eddie Shillow, and then that ended up not working out. And I believe just Casey and Gavin ended up doing that song after the tour,
and me,
and Rob,
yeah,
or everyone but me. But I thought it was just Casey and Gav, but Casey, Gavin, Rob, and
Nick didn't play on it.
I
don't think either of the Nicks played on it.
Nope.
Just me and Rob and Gavin.
And then
it was a super electronic song. It's not. Yeah, there's not a lot going on in it. It
was a cool track.
Yeah, I liked it. For
Beyond the Pale,
I like how
right?
that turned out.
Yeah. And then
do you happen, Casey? Do you happen to remember what the the premise for Beyond the Pale was? As far as like style and words and stuff.
Well, originally it wasn't going to be that style. I think it was going to be more like not folky, but a little bit more just rock. And then in talking to him about the concept of it, like a game character becoming aware of its maker, or any character becoming like aware of its maker, or the fact that it's a character. I think we were talking about, since we couldn't go and do it at his house, to try and make that the inspiring point for doing it differently than the other songs on the record. You know what I mean? Like, rather than try and get everybody to track their parts around the country or something like that, or have Nick do drums in Rhode Island and stuff like that, rather than treat it like a studio song, it's just like, okay, well, we couldn't go and do it that way. Kicking ideas back and forth with Eddie about like lyrics and stuff like that. And had like a very basic outline of the song. Went through and recorded all the vocals first, so that there were the big stacks and harmonies and stuff like that. And then I sent basic instrumentation and vocals over to Gavin, and he did a pass of synths on it, and then we brought those back over. Then I want to say that was when I sent it to you, Rob. I forget I feel like I just said do whatever you want. Like if I don't remember sending you like a list or anything specific
Yeah, I don't
to
think
do.
so.
And then it was just putting it together, and you know, I would mess with loops and add percussion and synths and stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't the way that it was meant to go. But I think given the situation, I think we ended up making something pretty cool out of it. And then, so that would have been Florida, and then we did Kevin's, and then the last one was Cody and Carrie's song, right?
Back in Portland after tour was over, because that's also where the tour had started.
Which one was Cody and Carrie's? Now I'm missing a whole song from this in my head.
All is all should be.
Oh, duh, yeah.
So it started as Cody's, or Cody was who I was talking to about the song and everything, and then he was sort of just talking with Carrie about it, and they would come to me with their ideas. And I think that one specifically was like, he was like, I want a song like, is there anybody here that has a guitar solo? And it was like, okay, is there any other like flavors that you want to throw into it? He's like, I just want it to be like, is there anybody here? I want there to be a guitar solo, and then also like, I want there to be a big build to a big sing along part. I was like, all right.
I thought I would remember more about this shit as we talked about it.
Yeah, I don't remember that song that well, to be honest. I might remember that one the least out of all the songs for some reason.
I don't remember there being a guitar solo.
Same.
It's not a solo. It's like a there's just a part where the guitar is it's that moving melody, and the chords are constantly modulating into it, like modulates out of the key and then back into it. Everything drops down. There's a tiny little guitar. All this is all should be. Duh, duh. It's like slow. Da, da, down, da, da, down, da, down, and then we're back into it. I thought, but maybe I don't know.
Yep,
I haven't listened to it in forever. I just remember that part
Why
being
not?
tricky, but other than that, I got no memories of it.
Then there's Witness Me.
That's Kevin's.
Did we talk about that? Yeah,
Kind of. I mean, we brushed over some logistics of it. We didn't really talk about the day itself. We didn't really talk about how that was also tied into
kind of a nightmare of a day. A nightmare of a day.
It was tied into also the Attack on Show thing, right?
Yeah, but I think at that point it was just his thing. It was it Attack? Was it just called Attack, or was it? Was he still doing that, or was he doing his own shit? I forget.
No, I think you're right. I think it was something like that.
Yeah, I think it just wasn't on G4 anymore. It was like on his own, or on, I don't know,
RIP?
some different platform. Yeah, what a G4 and Fuse. That's fun.
But we spent like the I guess, afternoon writing and recording Witness Me, and then did 3 or 4 songs for his show.
Plus, Casey did a long interview, and then did we have a show that night?
I don't think so.
No? I remember that.
No, we wouldn't ever do some shit like that.
Yeah.
I remember Gavin and I kind of writing that ending synth line.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's clearly a keyboard part. So when I had to learn it, I was like, yeah, okay. Let me just take 20 minutes to myself to learn this. And I think I mostly got it, but like, it's definitely like played like a keyboard part. So that was stressful.
Well, I mean, it's just an arpeggio. It's 2 chords it's 3 chords that get arpeggios, and the pattern is 1 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off, right? And it ends up creating a weird repetition where different chords get the arpeggio every time. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I thought you did great.
I thought it was great. Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of fun. It was just that we wrote that part like I mean, like an hour before we played it, you know. So it was just, for me personally, it was a little stressful, that one, but it was fine.
You just weren't good enough yet.
I just needed.
There you
Now
go.
you're good
I didn't
enough.
know how to say it. I didn't know how to say it.
If you heard that,
send.
if you had to go learn that in the moment today, you would just crush it.
Yeah, I have a mustache now, so it's like,
Yeah. It is one of my favorite Deer Hunter songs, like across
it's great.
the discography. Something about it, just those
I like
little
that
the
one
little
too.
8-bit synths. I like the way that the chorus doesn't fully explode. It feels like it wants to, but dynamically it doesn't. There's some, and then yeah.
Rich played percussion
Oh
Yeah.
right.
the octopad or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, and you basically just told him like do whatever and we'll fix it later because there's no
I'll just
no
pick
output
from different takes.
Yeah.
I'll just pick phrases that I like.
Yeah.
There's no what?
There was no like audio output in the room that it had to then compete with in a mix.
Oh, that it would get in our way, or
Yeah, it was just DI.
Very much
So it
just
was
play
like,
whatever you want.
Hey, yeah, everyone will mute you. Just do your thing. And I'm sure he was such a tight drummer and percussionist that it was like, there will be awesome stuff in there. Don't stress. And there was awesome stuff in there for sure.
All right.
Okay. Well, I guess that's goodbye, everyone.
All right.
It's fine. Hopefully he's
Hey, do you still have a makeup filter on? Can you just tell me so it doesn't bother me?
I don't have a makeup filter on.
Yeah.
Wow.
He looks very normal on my screen.
Huh. Just must be my screen. All right.
We just looked at each other, horrified.
Makey words.
They know. My time has come. The algorithm knows.
The Makey words podcast.
We have fun, okay? We have fun.